Thanks, listeners, for joining us. It is time for an Elko County update today, and I have Commissioner Jon Karr in studio. Jon, thank you for making the time. This is super busy for you. It's busy for the whole town. We're all getting ready for the fair this weekend.
Getting ready for the fair, but in my life, it's slightly less stressful with my kids and my wife back to school, so I have a little bit normal schedule.
That's
even though I don't have a normal schedule anyway, but there's at least some sense of normalcy now that they're back.
Well, and your wife is, she is lovely in every way, and she's a teacher, and so we really appreciate the work that she does, Jon. Thank you. Yeah.
No, she enjoys it, and I personally believe she's very good at it, but there you go. I'm a little biased.
And it also gives you a good perspective when it comes to some of these issues. So very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are looking at an agenda for next week's regular Elko County Commission meeting, which will be after Labor Day, obviously. It'll be Wednesday, September 6th. And we could kind of dive right into, let's talk about those some current city/downtown issues, because you were, until most recently, a member of a resource advisory council for something known as the Redevelopment Agency, RDA, for the city of Elko, right?
Well, you're the Redevelopment Advisory Committee for the Redevelopment Advisory Council.
Right, of which the Redevelopment Advisory Council
was basically the city council.
Yes, that's
correct. But under statute, they have to be a separate. It's kind of like the county commissioners in our fire district. We have to be a separate entity, technically, legally, but for the same group of people.
And there is a taxing increment, a general improvement district, if you will, of which you're a member because you're a downtown business owner.
Correct.
And there are other downtown business owners. I think Jeff Dolling was on that committee with you.
Correct.
And also he's a member of the Planning Commission still, right? City
Correct.
Planning. Okay. So the only reason, those are just a couple players. But it's important to note that there was support for this from members of the committee itself for dissolving the committee and just kind of turning things directly over to city staff and to the city council.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, as I got interviewed by the newspaper about this and kind of what brought this up, well, let's backtrack, and I really should have looked up the date, but I don't remember when Jeff and I got on there when they were first looking at some. They were paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for consultants on changing the whole downtown, and I don't know how much was the city's input from the person there at the city giving input to this consultant, or this consultant was just way out in whatever land. But no, it was basically a $150-200 million project, maybe a $100 million project. They wanted to totally redo and gut the parking, the downtown corridor, and have everything from this little nature trail down the middle to only a road just down just the middle, and the whole rest of the part was a whole walking thing. To a Ferris wheel, to just like, okay, that's not realistic. We don't even have even close to that budget. I mean, like 10% of that. So why are you daydreaming that? Plus, okay, I like the parking downtown. It needs to be cleaned up a little bit and some of the trees and everything, but I actually like it. The CrossFit gym used to be down there. I'd be running that in the morning. It's actually beautiful in the summer mornings. But anyway, point being is that's when we got on there, and I actually talked Jeff into getting on there as well, going, wait a minute, we got to see what the heck they're doing. Where does this come from? And that's why we got on the advisory council, and they quit doing the consultants. So we looked at the whole plan and what was going on, and so afterwards we re-looked at the plan and went, wait a minute, why don't we just fix what we have? We'll do the block ends, clean it up, more trees, a little more grass, make it a little cleaner. Excuse me. And we also fixed the lights. They were rather dim down there, especially down that Monchis corridor, down in that 4th and 5th blocks, even 3rd, 4th, and 5th blocks. Those were just old lights that were still, I don't know, halogen or whatever, but even the glass around them were very cloudy. So very dark down there. Anyway, fixed all that. We've done some storefront grants, and I think Jeff at Dolling Hall was one of them that participated in that. But we also had a lot of other stores down there that have participated, and I just really think overall the whole corridor is looking nice. Now, there's been some disagreement from some other members on there, but in my mind, they focused only on the 4th to maybe the 6th Street of the corridor, as opposed to all the way from 2nd down to 11th, the whole corridor. And that was part of the argument. But part of also the vision of the art or the RAC, which we were on, was only an advisory on spending the monies from that tax increment. They were more worried about how things were running, like whether some of the bars should even be open, their hours, security, whatever. And if I want to do that, then I'll get on the city council. I don't think that was our purview to go over, discuss, and especially hours of discussion on it. Well, If you and I want to go down and have a coffee or have a beverage somewhere and BS about it, absolutely. But have meetings for hours on it that's out of our control.
Especially when you're using city staff, because
and they're sitting there, probably get on overtime and everything else, and went, wait a minute.
They probably want to be home. Yeah.
So we just felt that no, we can give input. I think the current city council is very open to the public. If there's a problem, you can get a hold of them. I think Jan, our new city manager, is very open to the public. So once again, if there's a problem, get a hold of them. So I don't think we needed that committee, and that's why I brought it up onto the agenda and voted for it, and 2 other members agreed with me, and the city council agreed with me, so that's why it got dissolved.
Yep. So moving forward, there will continue to be several projects planned. In fact, Kathy Laughlin was on the radio yesterday with Jan Baum and talked extensively. They're very excited about this. They have over $1 million to work with, and they're going to do a complete sidewalk renovation. You know, all those sidewalks that are different levels, and they've been causing problems for decades, ever since the train tracks were moved. They're going to finally get to resolving some of those issues.
What is that, 4th and Commercial or whatever, by the Henderson Bank
and
building?
Railroad on that
I remember
side.
jumping off that with a BMX bike way back when, I don't know, 12 or whatever, and it's still a weird couple steps and drop off. So
dangerous for sure. So those are some of the things to look forward to. So thanks for weighing in on that, since you were really instrumental, I think it's fair to say, in seeing the end of that advisory committee, but certainly not the work of the redevelopment agency. That is going to continue.
Correct.
And as always, people that do have concerns or questions or want to have some input can go directly to their city council. So.
Once again, I think they're very open to it, and especially the new city manager, so talk to them directly.
And we do have DBA, and we do have Elko Area Chamber of Commerce, and they're also really advocates, really good advocates for business. So moving on, there's a topic on this County Commission agenda, talking with Commissioner Jon Karr, that we were all kind of waiting to see who would make the first move, whether it's the school district or the County Commission, and it is on the county agenda to appoint or solicit applications from members of an oversight panel for a school district capital improvement project. This was a result of AB 519, the Nevada legislative session, and it will result in building a new school at Owyhee, and it's about a $65 million project.
Well, this committee won't have much to do with that at all. The Owyhee school is kind of a done deal with the school district, the state, and the tribe out there. So that's why I don't have that much knowledge on that project, but I also because it's really up to them. But that bill did have some other things in it, and one of them is a tax increment for the school district to have capital projects. And part of having that was an oversight committee. Now it's kind of vague what exactly that committee will do, other than, well, it definitely has to meet and go, do you first have the finances to do it? But overall, it has the input to say, no, we think you're spending unwisely or duplicating or something else. But they don't really have a lot of technical teeth to block something, whatever. Like, let's just say like this science, meat science and vegetables, gardening, whatever science out in Spring Creek they're proposing.
Oh, the curriculum, right.
Correct.
Is that through UNR, by the way?
No, they're proposing about a $1.5 million, $2 million expansion on Spring Creek High School.
Okay.
It's a meat and foods lab kind of a thing. Anyway, the point being is this committee couldn't all of a sudden say, no, we're voting against it and get blocked. It doesn't have the teeth to do something like that. But it does have the teeth to report back to the commission, and the commission controls that tax increment that might be available to them. And that tax increment is anywhere from 1 penny to 25 cents is what the law is mandating. But if you really got creative, the county could actually give them more than that, based on, it gives us the ability to do 25 cents over the property tax cap.
Oh, so they might not have to go before voters for a referendum, or?
Well, that's a whole different ballpark. This
Okay.
has to do with, we are mandated to give them at least 1 penny up to 25 cents.
Okay.
And it can be, if we wanted to, the commission wanted to just say, no, all right, your property tax, I don't remember what it's, I don't remember the exact, but we're at the cap, $7.85 or whatever it is. We could go 1 penny over that cap and just add a penny to them, or add 25 cents more, and it can be over the cap. Or the commission could give them 25 cents of the county current property tax that the commission's getting as their capital fund, or the county, excuse me. So there's different options. That's my point. But anyway, this committee could report back, and that could change based on the commission every 2, 3, 4 years, whatever. Anyway, that's why it can change. And this committee would report to the commission. If they're not doing it right, the commission technically could cut that amount back or increase it, whatever. Does that make sense on the teeth? On having teeth, but no.
It's interesting. Well, it's like we just described, an advisory committee, for example, to the redevelopment downtown that reports to the city council, who actually makes the decision.
Correct.
This, and now if I to read this, and John and I were just talking, we both just looked at this. This is on the county commission agenda for the next Wednesday meeting, and I hope it doesn't take too much listeners' time, but it says discussion and consideration to appoint or solicit applications from members of the panel pursuant to section 5.5 of AB 519. And it does say the panel shall consist of 5 members selected as follows: 1 member who chairs the Board of County Commissioners, or his or her designee, who shall serve as the chair of the oversight panel. So there's some of that designation that you're talking about. 1 member who is a member of the Board of Trustees of the school district, appointed by the president of the Board of Trustees. 1 member who is a member of a federally recognized Indian tribe or nation located in part or whole within the boundaries of the county, appointed by the executive head of the federally recognized Indian tribe or nation. 1 member who is a resident of the county and has experience in the building of school facilities, appointed by the president of the Board of Trustees of the school district. 1 member who's a resident of the county with experience in financing public works projects, appointed by the chair of the Board of County Commissioners. The oversight panel shall, doesn't say must, but shall, right? So there's an important designation. Review all credits to and debits from the fund for capital projects established pursuant to NRS 387.328. Recommend future uses of the money raised by the county from levying a tax imposed pursuant to Section 2 or 3. Review the amount of any appropriation, grant, gift, or donation received by the county to construct school facilities located on qualified tribal land, and to make a recommendation for the date of termination of a tax levy pursuant to Section 2 or 3 if the date of termination of the tax is not otherwise fixed. So it sounds like it's maybe not a permanent committee. I think you suggested that. And at the same time, it's more broad than just the Owyhee School Committee that we were thinking it was. Is that correct too, John?
No, absolutely. So no, it's not a Owyhee committee quite at all, to be honest with you, 0. But this whole law, it's weird. They really hit on Elko. I'm not quite sure why Elko was thrown in there so much, but it is actually a state mandate other than Clark and Washoe. So Nye County now has a very similar law, Eureka, all of them. So they all have to go to their county commissioners and ask for a tax increment, or don't ask, I guess, whatever they want to do.
Yeah, if they want to tap into this state
correct.
fund. Okay.
But then, yes, there's now state funds that are act like this grant up to $25 million, or also 25 additional, so 50 total for Native American schooling somewhere in a county.
And then there's a rural fund too.
So 25 rural, 25 Native American, so 50 total per year. So if we had a project where, I don't know, $20 million, we only had $10 million in the bank, the state could approve $10 million to us, or could say no, or say, hey, you're $5 million because Nye County also gets 5, or whatever the case may be. But either way, there's $25 million grant available to rurals and 25 for Native American schools.
Okay. Well, that's interesting then. And it could, obviously, this committee could sunset at the end of the construction project if you chose to do so.
No, I don't read it that way. I read it that this will be always as a committee based on that tax increment.
Okay.
Now, if someday they try to go out to pay as you go again, or some other state law changes or whatever, but as long as they're doing a tax increment given by the county commission, this committee will stay in power, or stay in office, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Maybe power is the wrong word.
It'll be in perpetuity. So anybody who's interested in that topic, if they've not been contacted by now about sitting on the committee, because that's going to be the discussion for you guys on Wednesday, right, is how to appoint or solicit applications.
Some of those, I think some names will pop up, pretty obvious, but the Native American one is the one that's slightly confusing because there's more than one tribe in all of Elko County.
Yes.
And quite honestly, sometimes those tribes get along and sometimes they don't. So So who would truly be that person they picked? That's part of what we're going to have to decide. And
Yeah, might get a little help on that, hopefully, from people in the know. Exactly.
well, I mean, do you do the local tribe here, or
do
once again up in Hawaii,
the Hawaii?
Even though this has nothing to do with their school? So do we? I don't know, or even out in the Jigs area. I don't know that much about their leadership and whoever. All I know is sometimes it appears by the newspaper that they don't always get along.
So that'll be a discussion maybe during Wednesday's meeting, right?
Correct.
So it's one of the first items to be discussed when the county commissioners meet in regular session. And then this actual discussion might inform one of the other topics, John, and that's the county complex assessment, just because there's a funding issue there, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Part of that, though, assessment is to figure out, well, what would it cost and what do we need? So there you go. That's why architects are looking at. We already have the money, though, to pay the architects to do this study, especially on the courthouse and how to expand it and what's the best cost-effective way to expand it and use what we already have, but also add additional.
We see the Free Press has been doing some really good reporting on that, John, kind of getting into the details of just how decrepit some parts of the courthouse. I mean, it's over 100 years old, so obviously it's not meeting current needs when it comes to technology or security. So the biggest
thing, yes, is security, but also every place has HVAC problems, but the main part of the courthouse is actually fine. It's open enough and whatever else, but downstairs, the basement, no, there's some serious airflows and fresh air problems that we're really looking at and how to fix that even long term, because we're not going to try to abandon it. It might become vast storage because there's a lot of room down there, or not, I don't know, but that's part of what this architecture firm will look at. But for day-to-day, big groups of people down there, no, I don't see that in the future.
So, John, are you still able to talk to the judges about, because there's still planning that needs to be done and actual construction of a justice complex, right? I mean, is that still...
That's all this.
This is all leading up to that?
Correct.
Okay, good.
All that's one whole part of that.
Because I think there was some confusion in the community, or even just people maybe speaking out of turn saying, well, maybe now with the school funding, this 1%, as you said, that could go over the tax, our increment, John, that we may not be able to afford a justice center. I mean, did you want to comment on that?
Well, I don't have a clue on how much it's going to cost. I'll throw a number. Let's say it's $50 million, and that's just based on the complexity of the Waihi schools proposed to be 65, and that's the land that's totally barren, everything else, and everything to it. So let's subtract some money because it's not going to be that big a facility and everything else. So let's just shoot for $50 million. I don't know. We'd have to go, all right, if we chose to pay-as-you-go style and build up $50 million, well, we're getting about, I don't know, $8 million a year now or whatever it is, $10 million. Okay, 5 years. Well, we're probably looking more like 7 years to collect that money. Or if we bonded for 10, 15 years, be able to build a house. No, we just have to do all that math. And then if we bonded for, let's say, 15 years, which is not really that unheard of in a municipality, and it'd actually probably be, since it's a tax-free to investors, probably only be like 3 or 4%. We could probably get away with the county still having 25 cents to 30 cents and 25 cents or whatever, the math in between to go into the school district. You could probably get away with that, but I haven't 100% sat down the old pen and paper and looked at it, but that's ballpark where we'd be in my mind.
Okay. And then do we have other needs that the money's been committed to, or is that one-time money that was used from the ARPA fund, would you say?
Well, there's money there's $15 million kind of around, and I don't want to say which part it's come from or whatever, because I don't want to misstep. It's not hidden somewhere or whatever. It's very obvious if we're spending it from somewhere. But the event center, we're not sure if that's really happening or not, based on the city kind of putting it on the back burner and the Boys and Girls Club and that. Obviously, their aquatic center and everything's still happening, but we didn't really have much to do with that. We had about $15 million that we had proposed for the event center. And once again, where that's 100% at, kind of in limbo. So there's $15 million you could definitely debate on. But other than that, we really need to look at expanding the jail in this courthouse complex. So that's all the math we're looking at. And it's part of this architectural group. And so we can sit down and 100% present even to the public, this is the math, this is what we're looking at.
I'm glad that you mentioned the jail expansion, because you do have other, your colleagues on the commission saying, oh, but we need a jail expansion. So this is all part of the same picture, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't think the jail expansion, it'll be millions of dollars, but it sure won't be 10, 15, 20 million, nothing like that. I'm assuming 3 to 5, but obviously the headlines from now can be totally inaccurate, Carr, and it's 10 million, but I just don't see the expansion we're looking at being that much more.
You've already got a lot of infrastructure in place. There's
Correct.
a footprint for it. It's just the final pod that you build out on that jail.
Correct.
So, okay. So that's part of what's being planned for right now in the county complex assessment, which is an agenda item, right?
There you go.
Okay, very cool. So then, as you said, whether or not the $15 million that was for the event center gets shifted, I think county commissioners, budget committee people were meeting with Spring Creek Association yesterday, right, John? They've got big asks.
I haven't been as much on that. It's Delmo and Rex, and they were also meeting today because it's more of the diesel tax we imposed and how much is going to their roads. There's two ways to look at that. How many of the Spring Creek roads are public roads, true public, and how much those are HOA roads going to somebody's house. And just like my HOA road in my subdivision, we don't get any tax money on that. That's a HOA road, and that's what you pay your HOA fees. That's your problem. That's what you pay for.
That's what Homeowners Association stands for.
Yes, sorry, HOA, correct. So that's going to be some of the back and forth of what that is. The problem with Spring Creek is it's an HOA. It was never incorporated, or even an unincorporated city. It's an HOA, and their bylaws and how they were set up is now that they pay for the roads and some of their things like their golf course and their marina and other things that HOA does, and that's just like anything that HOA I'm in. But that's all it was set up to do. It wasn't set up as a taxing increment that the city can give or the county can give to like Jackpot, for instance. They're an unincorporated township, I think is the legal term. But we give them money because we're thinking of the fiduciary, and the commission's technically over them. But they have a township, a legal township, and their property tax is allocated for them. An HOA is not that way. You're in the county. That's the legally how it is. So how that comes, I'm sure it'll come to the commission, both legally, what's the definitions, but also what would they like to do to help them. It is a big population, but a population of 15,000 versus, I don't know what mine is. Let's just say it's 100 people at some of the states. That's not relevant. Your definition of HOA is a HOA. So that's what will be the discussion. Yeah,
Spring Creek Association certainly has a lot to consider and decide. To Jessie Barr's credit, and she's the director of the association, among the first tasks she took on was trying to determine whether they could become a municipality. They looked at becoming an actual city, if I remember right. I didn't look that much into it, but I don't think they ever looked at an unincorporated township. But right. I 100% could be wrong on that. And that might be the next exploration, whether to dissolve the homeowners association, because they simply try to keep raising fees on property owners, but it's not enough to pay for infrastructure, as you said, roads and amenities, and otherwise they'd have to consider selling off amenities and, some things that homeowners might not want to do either. Correct. So, once again, I don't know their budget that much just because I'm not on their board and I don't know that much on their budget, so I haven't looked at it. But no, Jessie's very active and wants things improved. But that also comes with a dollar figure, so that's why she's looking at how to get more funds. There you go. That's right, and wrestling it in particular for the roads. And it's important to note that the county has been far more generous to Spring Creek Association of late than they have ever been historically. Correct. There was a bunch of money, $1 million. I might be thinking too big, but for the equestrian center. So that's being improved. Correct. And they were able to fit that in because they said in case there's an emergency, we'll be able to use this for emergency shelter for livestock or animals or people or whatever. So, yeah. Correct. Okay. And we are, the road department has also come up with kind of a grant program that Spring Creek will be able to apply for, but let's just also say Osino or Rindon or White Rock, those groups can actually apply for, and we can, I don't know the exact amount, let's just say it was $5,000. Okay, no, we agree that the main road on White Rock and a side road here, should be done, and the county is now going to spend $5,000 and bringing in gravel and whatever else to improve these roads or culverts or whatever the heck, even though they're not technically county improved roads, we're doing that. And that's part of what Dennis has looked at for those areas
to not all of a sudden include all of them as a county road. That would bankrupt us. We don't have the money to do it, but at least be able to be making for these different communities some improvements.
And that's nice. It's short of a general improvement district, which we know a lot of rural communities have resisted doing any kind of special taxation. They don't want to pay taxes as, the same level because they live out in the county for a reason. So, but they want passable roads, yes. And they need to get emergency vehicles
I don't
in
know.
and out.
I don't know how to answer that, Lori, because it's really it's almost sometimes you got to bite your tongue because, yes, they pay very, very low property taxes and very low property values. And it's not to say anything derogatory about their home or anything else. It's just it's a cheaper because they buy the property cheaper, but there aren't any improvements. That's why you got it cheaper. Mm-hmm. And so no, they want all the improvements of being in town, but don't want to pay the rate that they have to be in town. So we hear it all the time.
Buyer beware. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, if you have to drive on a dirt road out into nowhere to get to your property, you don't buy the property and all of a sudden it magically gets paved. No, that's not how it works.
Jon Karr is our Elko County Commissioner in for our county update today. But those are really important conversations, John, about the budget, and maybe 2024 will be an exciting year. This is the first time, we've said it many times, that the county's really had some money to work with. So,
yes, we're definitely don't have wads of thousands coming out of our pockets by any stretch, but no, we at least have a fund balance to work with.
Right. I mean, and that was what we're talking about, shifting the pay-as-you-go from the school now to the county. That results in a nice cushion, and so you can do some planning for these projects that have been behind. So
a little bit. We haven't talked a lot about it because it really just got implemented. We haven't really seen the benefit yet of that because it really just sunsetted.
Mm-hmm. A few months ago, right?
Yeah. I think it was June.
Oh, yeah. So barely.
So we're just going to start getting that tax increment. But anyway, but overall as our general fund and on our whole over accounting, no, the last 3 or 4 years has been much better. But we have had to raise some taxes like the diesel, and we just approved just because
and guess what?
Stuff costs.
Crickets. You didn't have a single objection. I would have thought that. Didn't you think that there would be?
I didn't think, because it really does go to something specific. I myself don't mind paying a tax if I see the benefit. The fire district tax, I hope people saw that we had to implement, but they see a difference. They actually have trucks, I've said before on this radio show and on the newspaper. It's actually a working vehicle that will probably show up to your house to save your house, as opposed before these 70s pieces of junk that I drove them sometimes. I was lucky to get to some of these fires. They were so out of date and so worn out and everything. So no, I feel extremely confident of the vehicles, the equipment, the training we now have, the staff we have. So the money's worth it. I'm hoping the public, in this case, in this diesel tax and roads better, and I think Dennis has done a great job, that they see a difference and their money's going to something that's valuable.
So more to come on that, and we'll be able to fold in Spring Creek Association on what they're hoping to achieve as well. So
I like her aggression, but interesting to see legally also what we can do, because once again, they're not a true incorporated or an unincorporated township. They're an HOA.
Well, and I would say Jessie is assertive, but I wouldn't say aggressive. I think she's doing her job.
That's a compliment. No, I think she's a strong-willed and done a great job out there. So yeah, I sure don't mean it as anything derogatory. I'm very aggressive myself. So
yeah, she's a very good leader, and she is very good at the Spring Creek. She's brought so many changes and brought a lot of groups together. There are a lot of families activities, and even the 4th of July parade, I think, is really credit to that association and the work that, it's hard to bring people together sometimes, John, isn't it?
I sometimes tease the city that the 4th of July parade out there and stuff has done a better job than the city has. Well, so I don't mind Raz and Reese a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I don't know that the city has much to do with the parade, which kind of morphed.
A little bit, because they raised the fees.
Yes.
And I said they should have grandfathered in the original parades.
Right, I see.
But I could see also the other point of, let's just say you and I want to have the September 15th, because John turns 50 parade, and we have to close down the whole downtown, the expenses of it and everything else. I get why they did it, but I also get, no, these are the parades that have been in place for 20, 30, 40 years, and they're part of now our culture and what we do, and they really should have been grandfathered in, but that's a whole different.
Well, I am very glad that you mentioned parade, because the Elko County Fair Parade is Friday, 11 o'clock, downtown Elko, and it is a proud tradition of the Elko Lions Club, and they are up front and center, and you generally see floats. And do we still do Miss Elko County? Usually there's the Lions Club sponsors that.
That is a very good question.
I know, maybe since
don't know.
COVID it hasn't come up quite yet. We'll see. We'll find out, because I'll find out with the rest of you. There'll be lots of horses, and because Blackjack Challenge, are you in a syndicate?
We're in the Let It Ride, yes.
What's your horse?
I don't know the horse's name. Our jockey has 3 that he's picking at the moment.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we'll be at our barn party Thursday night,
Let it
meet and
ride.
greet to check out the horse. We were there the other night already meeting the 2. They're the one I thought, but then our jockey or our trainer also don't. Well, we might have a different one.
Okay, so there you go.
That's one of those things. You're in charge of that stuff. Fine, whatever. We just enjoy the last race on Monday. It's fantastic, and I was really worried about it closing 3 or 4 years ago. We dropped Lucky Day, and they were actually the winner that year, and then they stopped. They had a great group. They had 50, 60 people, maybe more, and they closed up. And ours was down to, 15, 20 people. We were looking at ending it, but now I think we're 50, 75. I don't remember the number last night. We were doing little grab bags and all that kind of stuff. But no, I think it's getting exciting again, and we actually got one more syndicate, the Barachos, I think they call it.
Yes.
Which
means drunken, I think, is what... what
so
the Tarabellas,
JT
and
fair,
Angela, yeah.
And so but it's fantastic. I love it. If we can have full amount of horses on that last race and that big event of the fair finally coming to an end, and it's a really long race. I don't remember for long, but it's around the thing twice. It is a perfect way to end the fair.
And it's thoroughbred and quarter horse racing. It all opens again Friday. We had some preliminary racing last weekend, exciting T-Rex stuff, where people get in blow up suits and race around too, and that's silly. And then this racing, again, as you said, culminates. And we have teams, stables, I guess, coming from all around, because we're one of the last places for live horse racing, John, and the purses are big because they're supported by gaming commission funds. So
we're fighting still the state on that, because remember, because of COVID and something else, they kind of block some years, and then of course they go, well, it's based on your previous year. Well, you blocked the previous year, and there's some junk we're playing with that. But either way, yes, you're correct. It's becoming a non-existent
well, we know the county gave like 175, so we should have some purses, though. 170 of COVID money.
We're going to have a great fair, but overall through the nation, you're right. It's a shrinking.
Yes, our horse racing is alive and well. But
correct.
Yes. So this weekend, fair parade Friday kicks off a lot of stuff. Oh, dinner in the park with the Indians, because you were in the band, right? That's important.
I was not in the band.
Oh, okay.
And I actually did try to get our governor to come down for that. Governor Sandoval used to just walk up and walk through the park and say hi and
buy cupcakes and stuff. And what a great guy!
I like that guy. And Braden's actually uses as his golf, whatever they call the thing when you're on your dime or whatever your thing. You put your ball.
Oh, a tee?
No, when you pick your ball back up because of your spotter. I should know more golf terms, but Braden golfs. I don't. But anyway, it's Governor Sandoval's coin that he gave him when, I don't know, he was probably 6 or whatever.
Oh, that's nice. Olivia has one of those too.
Yeah, still kept it, and that's where he put his golf bag. So, anyway,
cool.
No, but unfortunately, Governor Lombardo already had some previous things that he had signed up for, and we hadn't talked to him as a commission early enough. But no, I talk to his staff regularly, and I hope he'll be here next year. And he'll be out throughout the year coming into Elko. So much more active than our previous governor. He
did. I think he had a great visit. He was here. And I think he may spend a little more time here last time because, he can talk about whatever he wants to. We appreciate having him in studio. And he went out to Lamoille Canyon. That was beautiful that day. I got to go to, John, and to see the pavilion and all the work that's been done by the community and the Lions Club. And then also to see just what Mother Nature's done to repair the canyon, because that fire was so heartbreaking. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And Senator Masto, I think, was here Monday.
She was here too this week, and I did get to see her.
So, yes, I unfortunately did not. Starting school and all those lovely things, I had to be the parent for a little while and other problems at work, so I didn't get to make it out there. It's too bad. She's a wonderful person.
And
I don't agree with the Democrat Party sometimes nationally, but her as a senator, I think, is very effective and intelligent. I'm disappointed I didn't get to see her.
Well, there you go, John. Yeah. Oh, one last thing I think we should probably weigh in on, then I need to let you go because I noticed that it's...
we can't talk all day long.
I
what the
know,
heck?
I
Yeah.
know.
We could be like the RAC meeting. We could just sit and BS.
Stop. This Elko County Advisory Board to Manage Wildlife, then they sent up their draft letter, which I think, have commissioners signed off on the letter yet? Is Curtis Moore working on one for you guys?
He is.
This is on the wine cup.
And I have
Campbell.
not seen a final copy of what we're sending them to.
Okay. Have you guys weighed in public on this yet? Because I must have missed that meeting.
The only thing we weighed in on is the confusion on what exactly is being proposed, because it had only been the day before that I think they went to the wildlife, so we didn't have a lot of information. And so our letter is we even said we demand to be at the negotiating table on what is going on, and this will end up going to Congress, but we demand to know what's going on. This better not be some hidden agenda that all of a sudden, boom, and what the heck happened here?
Yeah, that would...
So that's what our letter says. I personally will, now that we understand more of what is being proposed, we'll send a second letter saying, no, we are 100% opposed to this, but I can't speak for the commission. That's my opinion. And the vocalness that they said at the last one, I think the commission will lean that way, but once again, I can't speak for them. I don't know. Okay,
but it's more to come on that. I know Bert Gurr's at work on it. And then Don Klebano, who's retired in Dow, he was on the radio show on Monday with Bert, so it's just the first of many conversations. Let's just hope it's in time to catch it, right? Because
I think, well, I'm scared it's going to be a green energy project. This is an heir to Walmart. This individual is married to a daughter of the Walmart clan, or whatever you want to call it. And family, yes, however you want to call it. But I think he's looking at that. We keep thinking it's to close off for a wildlife thing. No, I think he's looking at it as an energy development to make huge solar panel thing and get government subsidies and that kind of thing. And that's where he'll make...
Well, there has to be
off of that. So yeah, you don't just get bored when you're billions and go buy land out in the middle of nowhere.
To run 12,000 head of cattle in a Nevada ranch. Well, and there are so many considerations, not only the significant wildlife there, the elk and the mule deer that could disrupt their migration, certainly birds, lots of wildlife species. But California Trail also runs through there. So, and I don't see that mentioned anywhere, but I know Helen Hankins is working on that end of it too. So,
and once again, on my side, that's speculation on the energy thing.
Right. We don't. There's nothing that. Yeah.
But yes, I hope this gets blocked, because it's like a 3-for-1. This is not like, wait a minute, hey, my little checkerboard really would be better off in the hands of the public, and I could use more of this. No, that's not what's happening here. Mm-hmm.
So more to come, and thank you, John. Did we get to all the topics you were hoping to today?
Oh, heck no, we could talk for hours, but we're fine.
Well, you'll come back, and that's important. We appreciate it. Our County Commissioner Jon Karr, in advance of the next regular county meeting, which will be on Wednesday, September 6th, go out and enjoy the fair. Take your family. It's an old-fashioned fun fair with exhibits and food along the midway and horse racing, and you can go into the barns and see the chickens and the sheep, and I hope chickens are back this year. We had the chickens and rabbits.
Right.
And
we did.
Yeah, so
that's too bad, but normally you're right.
Yeah, a lot of things coming back. So get out and support.
Cows, and even different breeds of cows I didn't know existed. I
know, yeah.
The little different goats and everything. No, it's fun to walk through. Even if you don't enjoy horse racing, or even if you go watch just once or twice to go, oh, okay. I remember working the horse races as a jockey boy, but I don't remember seeing the races as just a kid sitting in the stands. But no, I hope families come look at it.
Elko County Fair, 4-H, or I shouldn't say 4-H, it's an open livestock show and sale, and parimutuel horse racing kicks off Friday with the fair parade, dinner in the park Thursday with the Band of Indians, fair parade Friday, fair events all weekend long, and right through Labor Day Monday with the culmination of the Blackjack Challenge. That's all the local racehorse owners racing against each other for mostly bragging rights. So.
Yeah, we get a little bit of money, but then it's bought the next horse. So, no, we don't make any money on it. So go Unstable Stables and Rocket Man. That's the one I got to root for. So, all right. I know. Look forward to the challenge. All right. We'll see you Monday. Thanks. Thanks, listeners, for joining us today on Elko Live.